My name is John Plunkett.
Hello, my name is Dana Cummings.
My name is Bill Knoop.
I'm Dan Dow.
Hi, I'm Greg Shear, Army veteran.
Currently a major in the United States Army. I've served in Iraq, Kosovo, and Korea.
I was a Marine, and I served in 1966 and 67, 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines.
I served 6 years in the Marine Corps and served in the Persian Gulf War.
Drafted 1966. I was a drill instructor.
I served in the Marine Corps back in the days of the Eisenhower administration. It is the soldier, not the minister, who has given us freedom of religion.
It is the soldier, not the reporter, who gives us freedom of the press.
It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech.
It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, who has given us freedom to protest.
It is the soldier, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial.
It is the soldier, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the soldier who salutes the flag.
It is the soldier who salutes the flag.
Who salutes the flag.
Who salutes the flag.
It is the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin
is draped by the flag.
Who allows the protester to burn the flag.
Who allows the protester to burn the flag.
Who allows the protester to burn the flag.
You're Up and Adam.
Tractor systems are offline.
We are Beyond FM.
Beyond FM.
The future of broadcasting is here.
Up and Adam with Adam Montiel. It's community content from Concentrate. It's Up and Adam with Adam Montiel.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Yes, some say life is just where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Back at it, let's go. Thank you so much for being Up and Adam. My name is Adam Montiel. Happy Veterans Day. You heard that little tribute that we put together. We did that a few years back, and that was a lot of fun to put together, and I'm glad we dusted that off. It's perfect for today. Today, we are honoring a man whose story will stay with me forever. A true hero from World War II, Richard Dick Grantham. Dick was one of those young men who answered the call when our country needed him most. Born in 1926, raised by a single mom during the Great Depression, he had to drop out of school at just 14. He figured after Pearl Harbor, well, I'm going to be going anyways, right? By 17, he joined the Navy. Dick served in some of the fiercest battles of the Pacific, earned a Purple Heart for injuries he sustained when a kamikaze plane hit the boat he was on, a true symbol of his bravery, his sacrifice. I was lucky enough to meet Dick in 2021. He stood up at a veterans dinner that I was emceeing at the Elks Club, shared his story with pride, just lit up the room. He's just such an electric guy. It was humbling to say the least. Dude was in his mid-90s. Then a year later, his family welcomed me into his home to interview him. Now by then, he was 96. He had been through quite a bit of illness. His daughter had warned me he's a little weaker now, but he's ready to talk, and talk we did for well over an hour. What makes this story even more powerful is that hours, literally hours after I left his home, I got a message from his daughter, and it said, quote, "My dad is with my mom in heaven now. He loved you." Now, while Dick didn't know that that day was his last, or shoot, who knows, maybe he did. He chose to spend some of it with me, sharing a story. It's a gift I will never forget. Now, the audio that you are about to hear captures Dick in those final moments, a true war hero, then at home, and in essence, on his deathbed, yet still eager to let us into his story. Now, some of this audio may be difficult to listen to. You're going to hear a rattling in his voice, a sound that reminds us of the body's journey as it prepares to leave this world. For some, it might be tough, it might be unnerving. For others, there is a definite beauty in it. But above all, you're hearing the words of a man who gave it all, who invited me into his life, into his home, just hours before his spirit was freed to join his wife, Betty. You grew up during the Depression, right?
I was born in the middle of the roaring 20s, and my mother was a ballet dancer, and she also had a degree in college, and my family started in upstate New York. And upstate New York, they were gentlemen farmers, and they had this ranch, and there was the Morris Sargent clan started an import-export business, and the export business was started out worldwide, and they had enough money to start it, and so Morris was an inventor of the Morris Code, and so became Morris Sargent clan, and my mother's maiden name was Morse, and so anyway, my grandpa, he was sent to China to do some import-export business, and he used to trade with the Chinese and import-export some business. He sent stuff all over the world, and I don't know whether you remember or not, but the very wealthy, they'd have a china cabinet.
Oh, sure.
And in that china cabinet was this unique china dishes.
Yeah. They put the china in the...
And they'd only bring them out.
Special occasion.
Just on special high-ranking people.
Yeah.
And that was some of the stuff he did.
Wow.
So anyway, we went to... Mother brought us up, and we had while they were over there, my grandpa was in the Boxer Rebellion. He was imported as an army, and he fought in that, and he made a detailed what happened there, and he said at one time in the Boxer Rebellion, bullets were flying around him like rain, and he was in the army, of course, and then they got out of the army, and he stayed over there with his import-export business. My grandmother was born in Eureka, California. My grandfather was born in Fresno, California, and so Grandpa took my grandma with her, and so she always knew what was going on, and so while they're over there, she became pregnant, and my mother was born in China, and they finally did most of their import-export business, and they went back to California. My father left us when I was 2 years old, so my mother brought me and my brother up, and she had a hard time bringing up two boys. And then came the Depression, and so my mother, alone with two boys, did the best she could to bring up the two boys. And as she brought them up, she did it in this Depression year's time, and we were forced to stay with Grandma and Grandpa.
All right, so in that first clip, we get really the history, how Dick began, right? Grandma and Grandpa in the import-export business. Grandpa takes Grandma over to China, where they have Dick's mom, and then they move back to California. You can kind of see him laying the groundwork for what we're talking about here. And then he is a young teenager, just skips, drops out of school, leaves, starts hitchhiking, taking boxcars across the country, finds himself in a little bit of trouble along the way. Nothing crazy, but still, this story really just getting going. Skipping ahead to how he enters the service. Listen.
So the sheriff department told me they'll forget the whole thing if I join the Navy or join up in the service. And I'm 17. So, okay, I'll join. What the heck? I'm 17. I got to go in sooner or later anyway. So then I went to...
Were you scared to do that?
No. So anyway, I said, I'll go. And so I went down to the recruiting service and told them I wanted to be in the Navy and I wanted to be a quartermaster. Well, as it was, I had kind of a choice as a quartermaster because I was volunteering And so I signed up and joined the Navy. And so then I went down a few days later down. I got down to San Diego on the bus and started a place called Camp Decatur. And in Camp Decatur, I went to boot camp. They sent me to boot camp. And I remember while I was down there, I remember the first 2 nights while I was down there, there were two kids every night. They'd cry and in their bed at night. And I thought to myself, why are they crying? To me, it was just like a new job. Because the only thing this job supplied me with room and board, meals, and a place to sleep, and a little bit of money. So just another job to me. And I went through boot camp.
What'd your brother think? Are you the older or the younger brother?
I was the younger brother.
Okay, what did your older brother think when you told him, hey, I'm going to the Navy?
My brother and I never were really close.
Really?
No, he was
even though it was just the 3 of you?
Yeah.
Your mom and your 2 brothers, you and him were not close?
My one brother.
Yeah.
And
so you're going to boot camp?
After boot camp, they sent me to quartermaster school. And in quartermaster school, they tell me, was the highest ranking non-com school in the Navy because there was so much trigonometry and math. And
you were good at that?
I guess I'm a high school dropout. See, there's the other thing. Well, I was a high school dropout, and I got in there, and what did I know about anything? Nothing. So anyway.
Why'd you drop out of high school?
Well, I dropped out because I thought sooner or later I'm going to Navy. I didn't feel I needed school anymore. So that's why I started my adventures. So I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a college degree, but my mother could never afford to send me to that school. So I thought, well, I'm going to try to do it on my own. So one night I took off hitchhiking, and I hitchhiked and I got to Boulder, Colorado. And in Boulder, Colorado.
From Pasadena?
Yeah, from Pasadena.
You got to Boulder, Colorado. Wow.
And I got there, and it was getting dark, and I didn't know what to do. So I went up to a policeman and talked to him, and he took me to jail. And he gave me a bunk in this jail. And so I got a place to sleep that night. And the next morning I woke up, he gave me a bowl of oatmeal. Then the next morning he just sent me on my way. He didn't take my picture or anything. He was just a kind cop who knew I wanted a place to sleep. And so then I started hitchhiking. And I was thinking of something my brother told me one time. He says, I want to ride the rails. They're faster. I don't know where I was going anyway.
Yeah.
So I got to Albuquerque, New Mexico, riding a boxcar. And when I got there, I didn't know what I was going to do. I got out of the boxcar, and I was walking around.
Were you alone the whole time? Are there other people catching rides in boxcars? Or are you meeting different people doing this?
Bunch of bums.
Yeah. Like, do you feel comfortable around them? Do you feel like, how did you feel? How were you different from them?
I wasn't.
You just felt like them.
Yeah. Just another bum.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was walking around town, and these 3 Indians came up to me, and they asked me to buy them some liquor. And they couldn't buy it because they were Indian.
They didn't let Indian people buy liquor?
No. And I told them, why couldn't I'm underage? And then I started walking down this one street, and I walked by the slaughterhouse, and I walked by this farm and asked him if he needed help. He says, yes, he did. So I went to work for him, and that was really a strange incident. From there, he put me in the corn crib. There was a bunk in there in that corn crib, and so I had a place to sleep and a lot of blankets. So even it was cold outside. In fact, I remember one morning getting up and I was warm, plenty of warm. But I walked outside, there was a little bit of snow on the ground. But anyway, I got up and they gave me a big breakfast. I mean, a biggest breakfast ever. When I went there, I'm just a city kid, and I had no idea at all.
And we're in Albuquerque.
Yes.
And how old are we?
I was 15.
We're 15.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So you were on box cars at 15 years old?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And
were you keeping in contact with your mom?
No. I should have, but I wasn't. My dear, sweet mother, the things I did to her was horrible.
Was that one of the top things that really broke her heart? I mean, here's her
later on, yeah,
15-year-old boy.
Yeah. Later on, I think about that, how I treated my dear, sweet mother. No, I wasn't very a good son at all.
Why not?
Running away from home and not tell her.
You what?
Running away from home.
Running away from home.
Yeah. And so I spent about 6 or 8 months working on the dairy farm.
I mean, keep in mind, this is all just from a teenager in boxcars going across the country, 15, 16. I mean, just a teenager. The regret he reflects on of not being better to his mom and how incredible his mom was doing this on her own. 2 boys, father leaves, dad leaves them when they're 2 years old. Unbelievable. Ask Dick if he was scared in the war. Listen to what he says. Were you scared in the war?
One time especially, and I'll tell you what that was. I was never scared. In fact, I met this one sailor one time. We're shooting the breeze, and we decided that we were both 17 years old, and we were both too young to die. And so we anyway, we were talking about it and thought, just for the fun of it, the one that's a survivor of this thing will have to visit the other's parents. And turns out I had to go visit his parents. He died instantly.
Now, what Dick's referring to there is January 10th, 1945. During the invasion of the Lingayen Gulf in the Philippines, the USS DuPage was struck by a Japanese kamikaze aircraft. Now, the attack resulted in the deaths of 35 crew members and injured 157 others. The kamikaze plane crashed into the port side of the ship, causing significant damage and igniting fires that the crew battled literally throughout the night. Despite the severity of the attack, the DuPage managed to continue its mission, arriving 3 days later to transfer casualties and undergo emergency repairs. Now, the bravery and resilience of the crew during this harrowing event were incredibly commendable. Those wounded in the attack, like Dick, were rightfully awarded the Purple Heart in recognition of their sacrifices. The USS DuPage earned 7 battle stars for its service in World War II, reflecting the significant contributions and the challenges it faced during the conflict. Here's Dick in his final hours explaining that day.
What happened was, because I was in this gun crew, because I happened to be in the Commodore staff, and the general quarters was handled by the ship's company, and so they assigned me to this gun crew. I was like the 5th wheel in this twin-engine bomber, kamikaze bomber. Incidentally, it was nicknamed the Betty, and incidentally, I just happened to be getting married later on to a Betty, and so anyway, crashed on our ship. One bomb went off right away, and this friend of mine I had talked to, he died instantly. He died right away, and my gun crew I was the only survivor. And I was the only survivor in that yen crew. And I often wondered, why me? Like I'm not dead with these. Okay. With the gun crew. And down the fan tail of the ship. And the guys were all jumping over the side and jumping overboard because they thought the ship was going to sink. And it turned out we lost 35 died instantly. The only pain I really felt was on the gun was the heat of flash burns. It was so hot, I couldn't explain. It was the hottest thing I've ever felt in my life, ever. Anyway, so it was instant heat. I was on the fan tail, and everybody was jumping over the side. And I looked over the side and saw that black, inky water. And right away came to my mind. I looked at that, and I thought of octopus and sharks, and I thought, that's not for me. I thought, I'm going to take my chances a little bit more with these. And so I decided not to jump. And it's a good thing because with flash burns, you're susceptible that salt water wouldn't have done any good. The next thing you know, I was in line. There's a guy behind me, a guy in front of me, and we were pushing each other. The guy in front of me was walking ahead, and I thought, well, when you're in a position like that, you just follow orders. And so I followed the guy ahead of me. He was bleeding in the face. So I was carrying stretchers and bandaging everybody that I could and to help putting people on cots and changing them to some kind of a cot and help bandage and medicating him. And so finally, it was such a busy place.
Chaos.
Yeah, very chaos. I didn't know what to do. So I just kept bandaging people, kept telling some people without legs and stuff. And so I thought, I'll just keep on going. And I'm not feeling any pain whatsoever. And I kept on bandaging. And about 2 hours later, they looked around and things seemed to be. And he says, okay, Dick, it's your turn. I says, for what? He says, look at your arms and your waist on up. It was a bloody mess.
Is this what you got your Purple Heart for?
Yes. I went to the Carmen and they put salve and stuff all over me. I could still walk, but I couldn't move my arms or anything after that and bandaged me up. I couldn't do anything from then on.
My conversation with Dick maybe only went on a few more minutes. In fact, he got to a point where he just said, I'd like to stop. He was very friendly. We hung out for, probably 15, 20 minutes after that. I slowly took the headset off his head and put my equipment away, sat with him for a few more minutes, and I left. Just hours later, I get a text from his daughter, who was just so sweet. The text said, my dad is with my mom in heaven now. He loved you. I thought that was so sweet that she added that in there. It really, really made that whole day. I mean, I got chills when I read the text. I got chills right now telling you the story. But I thought this would be a really fitting way to package and celebrate the men and women that make this country so incredible. Now, listen, I know that wasn't easy to listen to. His voice worn with age, the rattling breaths, the pauses between each word. But if you stuck with me through that, thank you. Moments like this really remind us just how powerful it is to truly hear someone's story. And I'm grateful that we got to share this one together. Listening to that, I'm reminded of the incredible lives these men and women lived, these sacrifices, the bravery, and in Dick's case, the quiet dignity he carried through to the very end. From braving enemy fire in the Pacific to weathering the tests of time, Dick Grantham showed us the meaning of resilience, of honor. And on his final day, he shared that gift with me and with you. This Veterans Day, we thank those who, like Dick, put it all on the line. We honor their stories and remember the sacrifices they made so we can live in peace and live in the best country on earth. So as we celebrate today, the men and women who serve, let's carry forward their courage and their kindness. To our veterans, thank you so much for your service, for your stories, and for the freedoms we enjoy every day because of you. You remind us of what's possible when we come together with purpose, with courage. Today, let's remember those who served and those who've passed on. We owe them everything. Kind of a little bit different of an episode. Wanted to celebrate Veterans Day. Do it right. Thanks to Moonshiner Collective for original music on the show called Start Again. Thank you for rating, reviewing, subscribing to what we do here, and sharing it with a friend, helping others discover the show. It truly means a lot. Tomorrow we'll get back into the swing of things. Till then, I'm Adam Montiel. I hope you have a great beginning to your week and a great rest of your day. And thank you for being Up and Adam.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again. Let's start again. We'll start again. Let's start again.